On February 18, 2018, an Osman Iran Airlines ATR-72 crashed on a flight from Tehran, killing all on board. Later that day, I had an interview with Voice of America, where I talked about this event.
Iran's Press TV is reporting that search and rescue teams have reached the site of a plane crash that killed all 65 passengers. Jeff Custer has the details on the crash.
The plane went down on Sunday in foggy weather, crashing into Mount Dina in southern Iran. It was an Asman Airlines ATR-72, a twin-engine turboprop used for short-distance regional flying. Iran TV says search teams reached the crash site before dawn on Monday. The crash was yet another fatal aviation disaster for Iran, which for years was barred from buying necessary airplane parts due to Western sanctions over its contested nuclear program.
This is an aircraft that's flown by this airline fairly regularly. They have a small fleet of these aircraft, and they ordered recently several dozen more. So this is not something that this airline was unfamiliar with, at least as far as how this aircraft operates. Now, it's the particulars of this particular event. That remains to be seen whether weather was an issue, whether it was something to do with maintenance, or whether there was some other issue that came up.
Todd, what can you tell us about the ATR-72?
The ATR-72, which is a variation of the ATR-42, a longer version of the ATR-42, these two models have been in wide use around the world for roughly a quarter century, although it does have a record of major accidents. The last major crash involving the ATR-72 was about 3 years ago in Taiwan. And last December in Canada, there was a fatal crash involving the ATR-42 that killed one passenger. Now, that aside, although the aircraft has been involved in a number of fatal accidents over the years, there has been no ongoing issue, no ongoing controversy with anything about the design of the aircraft or fundamental faults with how the aircraft is handled by airlines.
Iran has blamed a lack of spare parts and Western sanctions for degrading, if you will, the safety of its domestic and international airlines. What is the Iranian aviation record so far?
Well, Iran is a relatively small country compared to the United States or Great Britain, but it's also a country that has a very significant aviation sector. And in spite of the fact there have been sanctions, in spite of the fact there's been less than full interchange between Iran and the rest of the world since their 79 revolution, they've kept up well with both their civil and military sector with respect to keeping their airlines up and flying, and also being cognizant of the procedures and the changes that have gone on in the world. One of the things that is a fallout from having the sanctions in place over decades is that not only is it more difficult to buy new aircraft or get replacement parts, it's also more difficult to have the kind of formal and informal exchanges between aviation professionals that goes on around the world. Many of the things that happen over time in aviation is based on the fact that those professionals who dedicated their lives to making aviation safer and more efficient, they get a chance to meet each other at conferences, they get a chance to work in different companies over time. In Iran, that's not so easy to do.
For more on airline safety and security, please visit airsafe.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.